UFC 305 took place at the weekend. Adesanya versus Du Plessis. I'm going to be breaking down the main card, giving my thoughts on the main card and what I thought about the fights. But first off the bat, I thought I really enjoyed this card. I thought it was a good card. Main card was very good. A lot of finishes. We love to see it. Great wars as well. So let's get straight into it. Prates versus Li Jingliang. This fight was probably the only one I got right, apart from Rosenstrike. I picked Prates by KO and he got it done, but Prates looked very good in this fight. He was keeping that range very well. The start of the fight was just, I felt like it was a battle of the leg kicks, to be quite honest with you. Both of them were just exchanging leg kicks. There wasn't really much happening, but Prates, when he let his hands go, he was landing on Lee. He found very good success with the just straight rights and lefts, knocking Li Jing down in the first round. And then the second round, just put it all together and got the finish. He was out cold as well. That was a bad KO. But Prates, I wouldn't mind seeing him versus Vicente Luque, to be quite honest with you. Luque needs a fight after Nick Diaz pulled out. And Prates is going to be ranked now after this fight, which I think he deserves as well. So I wouldn't mind seeing that fight at all, to be honest with you. I think that'd be a good stand-up battle. Two guys who are heavy-handed, come to finish. And I want to see a fight like that. I think this guy's very entertaining. I think he has a future in the sport. I think he can do very well. We'll see with the grappling, see what he's like on the ground. But as regards to striking and managing stuff on the feet, I think he does very well. He got that finish, got that KO. That's all he can do. And he was getting knockdowns as well. He's a showman. Like, he puts on a show. He was toying with him. And great finish. Great finish, I must say. So I want to see him versus Luque next. Next, Tai Tuivasa versus Jairzinho Rosenstrike. I'm sorry, but the first thing I want to say about Tai versus Rosenstrike. Split decision? Are you fucking insane? That would have been one of the biggest robberies I have ever seen live. Anyway, let's get into the fight. I had a 30-27 Rosenstrike. First round, there wasn't really much in it as regards. They weren't really doing a whole lot. I feel like they were just feeling each other out, kind of getting the range. But Rosenstrike, I felt like, was landing kind of better leg kicks. And one thing he did very well in this fight was hide the low kicks. He'd come with a left hook, but he wasn't actually using power to throw the left hook. He was disguising the low kick with the left hook. It was actually a very good strategy. He started to really find his range and rhythm in the second round. Although he was getting hit as well in the second round, I do feel like he was doing a lot more. One judge actually gave a 30-27 to Tai, gave him the second round, which is literally, he must have known him or something, like, or had a bet on Tai, or he got pulled from the card, thankfully, but still. It was a good fight. It was probably the worst fight on the main card. I would have expected a finish from one of them, to be honest with you. I think Rosenstrike should fight Pavlovich next. I think that makes a lot of sense. Heavyweight's kind of, I wouldn't say dead at the moment, but it's in a stalemate. It's in a standstill, unfortunately. But this was a decent fight. Tai's really kind of gone to the dogs. I don't really see a hope for him getting back into that top 5. Probably not even the top 10 anymore. Rosenstrike seems to be very hit and miss. He's winning one fight, he's losing the next. Him versus Pavlovich, I think that's a good fight. The third round as well was pretty much just Rosenstrike piecing him up. I genuinely, I honestly cannot understand how that judge gave him the 2 rounds. Never mind 3. He was pulled from the card. He should be pulled from the sport. He should never be allowed to do anything in this sport ever again. That is the worst scorecard I have ever read, by far. Anyway, yeah, Tai, take some time. I think he needs to take some time off and just reassess things, get in better shape, and actually work on skill set. He just looked the exact same in every single one of his fights, coming in with a big right hand and a big hook. You need more than that, even for heavyweight, which is fucking shit. But yeah, Rosenstrike did what he needed to do in that fight. He did it well as well, just keeping out range. He actually was landing some big shots as well when he needed to. He wasn't afraid to stand in the pocket and land his own shots, but it was smart when to get out of there. Like, he had Tai up against the cage a few times, and he was also up against the cage a few times. He was just getting in and out the whole time. If he stayed in the pocket as soon as Tai was returning, and he got out. So I thought he actually did very well this fight. it was a staple performance. Like, you should be putting in performance like that against Tuivasa. So Rosenstrike definitely belongs at the top end of the division. I don't think he's the best, and I don't think he beats like a Volkov again. Obviously, Volkov won. I think when they fought, Sirigan beat him as well. Pavlovich, I think, would have a bit of success, but I think he has somewhat of a chance against Pavlovich. I think he could pick him at range, to be honest with you, because Pavlovich struggled with that against Volkov, but I do think Volkov's a different fight. But yeah, it was a good fight, but I won't be watching that one again. I'm going to leave it at that. But the next one, Dan Hooker is back, and he beat Gamrot in a split decision. I thought, did enough. Hooker not did enough. Dan Hooker is back. I'm fucking so happy he beat Gamrot, yeah? His fight style is one of the worst in the sport. He running for the fucking legs all the time. It is one of the most boring fucking styles the UFC has ever seen. This guy is fucking the most boring cunt in this division. I'm so happy Dan Hooker won. And I thought he won just enough, though. Like, that third round, I gave Hooker the first and the third. Second round, Gamrot won. Gamrot's striking did look better, I have to say. But I'm so happy Dan Hooker won. First round, coming off the bat, Dan was really, like, switching stances a lot and loads of footwork. I was like, this is weird. Like, Hooker's usually, like, plotting forward, and he kind of, like, moves into range as he throws the punch, I feel. So when he's jabbing or throwing a right hand, you'll see his whole body move forward to get into range. He's got those long limbs. So it works. It works very well. But Dan Hooker, man, that year off he took, he seems to be getting better and better. If he fought Gamrot 2 years ago, Gamrot would have wet wiped him for 3 rounds, 30-27. Hooker's takedown defense, I said it in the build-up, Dan Hooker come win this fight because of his takedown defense and pick out range. That's what happened. I did pick Gamrot in this fight, but I said there was a path to victory for Hooker, and the path to victory I said happened. He just picked that range. You know, he did what he did very well. He nearly had Gamrot out there in the first round. He dropped him. Gamrot's knockdown was kind of a flash knockdown. I think it was a bit of he caught him at the right time, but kind of off balance as well. I don't think it was a case of he cracked him like Hooker did and he had to go down because he was getting discombobulated. But yeah, second round was a clear Gamrot round. I thought the first round was kind of 50-50 as well, and the third was kind of 50-50, but I'm edging it towards Hooker because, like, Gamrot's takedowns in the first and third were non-existent. Hooker's takedown defense was very good in this fight. He's getting better and better than Hooker. Gamrot was ranked number 5 at the time. Thing is, I don't really see them giving Dan Hooker number 5, to be honest with you. I think they'll give him like 6 or 7. I think he'll be ranked 7, to be honest with you. There's a few options. For Hooker, there's like Charles Oliveira's out there. You know what I mean? That could be a fight. Beneil Dariush is out there. I think they're going to do Dariush next. I do not think they're going to give him Charles Oliveira. I hope they do, because that'd be a fucking scrap for the ages. A real fan-friendly bout, that would. They're kind of the 2 options I see happening, to be honest with you. I don't really see Hooker have a problem fighting down, because if he does take that rank number 5, Beneil Dariush should be number 7, or he is right now. And then he could be like, fuck this, I want to fight up. But Dan Hooker will fight anyone, so that's what I'm kind of thinking. It'll be the Dariush fight. I think he'll beat Beneil Dariush. That'll be more of a striker kind of friendly matchup, but Dariush has a really blanket kind of style as well, and I just don't want to see Beneil Dariush beat Dan Hooker. For Gamrot, honestly, yeah, you could do the Paddy Pimblett fight. And I think Paddy Pimblett could beat Gamrot. Because he could wrap him up in a submission. Like, I genuinely think Pimblett could beat Gamrot. But thank fuck his style is out. It's the fight everyone thought was going to happen next after he beat RDA and Charles Oliveira lost. But now, you know, I remember Hooker was saying like he's going to fight Oliveira now, or he's going to fight Charles on that card. Charles, no one knows when he's going to be back. Hopefully this year. I wouldn't mind seeing Hooker versus Charles. I think that's a fan-friendly fight with two big names at lightweight. Lightweight's looking very good at the moment. But I still think Islam is going to reign supreme in that division, unfortunately. Yeah, it was a good fight, man. That was a fucking great fight. Hopefully, Hooker didn't seem to take too much damage in that fight, so I don't think he'll be like another year out of the cage. I don't think we'll see him in the cage again this year. Hopefully, maybe like April, or between February and April. In between then, I know they went to Perth in February, probably 2 years ago now. So maybe they're gonna go back there. Hopefully, get Hooker on that card or get Hooker on any card, bro. I want to see him fight more. But he gets in these wars and he takes damage. But that wasn't really a war. That was it was a good fight, but it wasn't a war. Like Gamrot was shooting for legs, like he always fucking does. And his style is so fucking terrible. And thank God Dan Hooker beat him up. You know, because I don't want to see Gamrot fight for a belt. He'd be the most boring champion if he ever got the belt in UFC history. No one wants to see this guy fight. He's fucking boring. Now he's out of the top 5. We can make way for Dan Hooker and Charles Oliveira and Gaethje and Chandler and all them, you know. Chandler's there, but I don't really see a need for a Chandler rematch with Hooker. Hooker deserves to fight up. Chandler doesn't deserve to fight Hooker. Chandler needs to fight someone now. He's coming off a loss 2 years ago. So he doesn't deserve to fight anyone in the top 5. Maybe let him and Gamrot fight. You know what I mean? 2 wrestlers. They can hug each other and see who goes to sleep first or something like that. From hugging each other. But yeah, Hooker's back, man, and I'm fucking happy, man. I'm fucking happy. Next, Kai Kara France versus Steve Usyk. Wow. Kai with the first round KO. I picked Steve Usyk in this fight. I thought Steve was going to be a little bit too much on the feet for him. Kai, don't blink, living up to the name. He gets it done in the first round. There isn't really much reason to pick Kai in this fight, I felt, because Steve was coming off that, I felt, win over Pantoja. You know what I mean? Kai hasn't picked up a win in years. I think the last time he won was Askarov, if I remember correctly. That's 2.5 years ago. And Steve has all the momentum, and I thought he was a good style for Kai. But Kai just went in there and caught him. Did very well. The fight was kind of like, I felt the first round was very much them two feeling each other out. Steve was doing well with kind of like picking his moments. I felt like he was picking his shots well, and they were exchanging leg kicks early on as well. And Kai was doing like his running forward and throwing his overhands and his lefts, and Steve was backing up well, but he did land 1 or 2 early on. But yeah, like the first round, nothing was really happening. Do you know what I mean? It was very much just a stalemate, and I felt like they were really feeling each other out, and they kind of picked it up as the round went on, but Kai didn't let it go on. Do you know what I mean? He caught him very well. Steve went bobbled head back, and Kara France may have just earned themselves a title shot. He may have well earned themselves a crack at the belt, because Pantoja has no number 1 contender, and people thought, including myself, Steve beat Pantoja, and Kai just knocked him out in the first round easily, and that could have very well warranted himself a title shot at the end of the year. And I'm not mad. I'm not mad at that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not mad at that. I believe these two, Kai and Pantoja, fought on The Ultimate Fighter years ago. I don't think they fought in the UFC. Maybe I'm wrong there. But I believe they fought in The Ultimate Fighter, and Pantoja won. So it's new blood. It's got a bit of a storyline. Why not do that fight? Do you know what I mean? He doesn't really fucking deserve it, but still, no one deserves it at flyweight. So he's probably the one who deserves it the most, and he still doesn't deserve it. Do you know what I mean? He's got 1 win in fucking 2.5 years. So I wouldn't even mind seeing, you know, if Royval wins, him versus Kai again for a number 1 contender fight, because Royval beat Moreno. So if he beats this undefeated guy and then doesn't get a title shot over Kai, I think that's just a bit stupid. I know he only fought Pantoja, but you know there should be clear number 1 contenders in divisions. That's the problem. Like it's like middleweight, which I'll touch on later on. But yeah, Kai did exactly what he needed to do and more, and it's good to have him back because he comes to fight and he delivers KOs like that. You know, he hasn't got a boring style. He's not coming in there to wrestle. He's good for the division. He brings eyes, and he's got a fucking sick KO. For Steve, bit of a shitter, like, do you know what I mean? It is a shame because he did look very good against Pantoja, and his boxing is still insanely good. He's very quick, very crisp. His defensive boxing is very good, which I thought was going to hold up in this fight. It was holding up early on, but he got caught. He'll be back. I wouldn't even mind seeing him versus maybe Amir Albazi, someone like that. You know what I mean? I don't think he deserves to plummet in the rankings. Or even Maynard Cape, both coming off losses. Winner can fight up, something like that. But yeah, Kai does it, man. I'm happy for him. A bit sad for Steve Ursic because he does bring a good fighting style to the cage, with his boxing, but you know, don't get caught. Don't get caught like that by Kai, and you're gonna go to sleep if you get caught. Yeah, the main event, Israel Adesanya versus Dricus Du Plessis. I kind of touched on this fight, the whole fight yesterday. So I'm just gonna talk about what I think is next more than anything. But rewatched it, still kind of the same. I'd kind of rewatched it with a more calm view, and I do think Dricus looked good. He looked better than what I originally thought, and I think Izzy really slowed down as the fight went on. I think maybe it was the grappling, maybe it was the constantly lunging back and being worried about the defense and all that. But what's next for both of these? Well, we know Dricus is more than likely going to fight Sean Strickland. I don't think Sean deserves the rematch. He sits out and fucking bitches and cries about how he won the fight, and he's sitting out and waiting for his title shot. I don't think you give that guy. I don't like Sean Strickland. I think he's a crybaby. I don't think you give that guy the fucking title shot. I think if Khamzat wins, you give him the title shot. If Whittaker wins, you let Whittaker fight Sean Strickland, and then the winner can fight Dricus. Because if Khamzat smokes Whittaker in, I don't know, what is it, 2 months' time, or maybe 10 weeks, something like that, there is no way Sean Strickland deserves it over him. Or with a win over Costa, and then Khamzat running through Robert Whittaker, with the name value he brings, and how much the UFC want him to get the belt, it's not going to happen. Strickland needs to be smart. Sean needs to be smart. He needs to be like, Dana's already said that Sean's next for the rematch, but money talks, and if Khamzat goes out there and wins, Dana will make that fight, which I would actually enjoy, because I just don't agree with Sean Strickland being like, I beat Paulo Costa in a terrible, boring fight because my fight style is shit, and I want an immediate, not immediate, but I want a rematch. That's just some weak sauce. Isn't that just some weak sauce? I don't know. That kind of bothers me when fighters do that. But we know what's next for Dricus. Strickland or the winner of Khamzat versus Rob. Or it could be, if Dricus wants to take time, you could do the winner of maybe Strickland versus Whittaker or Khamzat. I do not think they'll do Strickland Khamzat. If Khamzat wins, I think he's next for the belt regardless. There is a bit of talk of Pereira moving down. I don't particularly want to see Pereira at 185 again, ever. Dricus gets his first title defense. I said in my thing yesterday it was second, but I meant first. But he needs to keep winning. Like, if he racks up these title defenses, like let's say he beats Sean again, that'll be his second title defense. And let's say he goes out there and beats Khamzat, that'll be third. And if you can go on a streak of Robert Whittaker, Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, Sean Strickland again, then Khamzat Chimaev, bro, you deserve to move up. And I hate double champ more than anyone. People deserve to defend their belt, and they owe it to the contenders. Like Izzy did, like Volk did, like all these guys did, like Holloway did. But Dricus keeps winning, move up. I don't want to see Pereira move down unless it's Adesanya and Izzy lost, so they're not going to do that fight. But yeah, man, Dricus, we know what's next. Adesanya, very unclear. We don't really want to see, I don't want to see him fight someone like Strickland. I would be quite interested now in a Chimaev fight if they'd go with the Strickland rematch for Dricus. I don't think they will do Israel versus Khamzat, even though it could be a good fight. You could do that as a co-main to Strickland versus Dricus, which I would fucking love, because Adesanya versus Khamzat has been talked about for years. And of course, the hype won't be the same as it was maybe 3 years ago, because Adesanya is losing, Khamzat isn't active, he hasn't been picking up wins. But it's still a big fight. And, why not do that fight? If they go with the Strickland rematch, which I hope they don't. I fucking hope they don't. But then again, Whittaker, he has to get through Whittaker, which is no easy task. I'm picking Whittaker, but I'm hoping Khamzat. Whittaker come in here and fuck all this division up. It would be a Rob thing to do, to come in and do that. He always does it, but, Yeah, that's what I kind of think. Adesanya is kind of in a really unclear position now. I'd say he's going to take a bit of time until there's like a contender where he's like, fuck, like, I like this, you know? If Brendan Allen keeps winning, you know, they could do that. But Brendan Allen's got a handful now in Paris, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Izzy, I really don't know what's next for Adesanya, to be quite honest with you. I don't want to see another rematch. I want to see him against a new contender. And I think he wants that as well. But yeah, I honestly think for Israel, matches need to happen, fights need to happen, and then when things add up and there's contenders, people take each other out, and then there's maybe one or two spots left, that's when he'll take up a fight, and it could be against anyone. Like, you really have no idea who he's going to fight next. He said he's staying at middleweight. I'm happy with that. I don't want to see him as fight night main events. You know what I mean? Like, Izzy is co-main on pay-per-views. I think that's where he belongs, because he does still bring eyes. You know, he brings a lot of eyes, and he deserves co-main on pay-per-views. He doesn't. I don't want to see him on fight night main events unless it's in like Auckland, where he does, where he'd take it. But yeah, man, that was a very fucking good card. UFC 305 was banging. Let me know what you thought of this one in the comments. Thanks for watching.